Morning, everyone. Welcome to this Sofa Summit session on has your food software passed its sell-by date? I'm going to start now. It's around about 10 o'clock. So if other people join us, they can just come online as they come along. So my name is Darren Neary. I'm going to be doing a few slides really just to set the scene, and then I'm going to be doing an overview of the actual product itself. Agenda. So why we're on this webinar? So the fact you're on this webinar means everything isn't quite right in your organization with your business systems, whether it's the fact that you don't have very good systems using Excel, maybe you've got an old system, maybe you've just got a system that just hasn't been put in correctly. But the whole reason behind this is you want to see what's out there on the market space. And I'll try and give you an overview of what Microsoft have to offer with technologies expertise in the food and drinks industry. So I'll show you an overview of the product. I'll show you some of the key areas the system has inside there. If any questions come up, if you can just raise your hand, Zach will try and answer the questions as we go along. And finally, I'll show a little bit about who we are as a business and try and answer any final questions near the end of the seminar. So again, why are we here? So generally, I work in the food industry all the time. So it's bread and butter for me when I go along to a company and they just using Excel and they've got maybe a Sage Line 50 or Sage 200 system. Maybe they've got Zoom. So yeah, that one for their back end systems or something like that. So a lot of companies do run very big companies actually run themselves on Excel, and there's only so much you can do with Excel before it starts to get incumbent on the amount of labor. The quality of the data that starts coming out of the system is a bit dubious. Excel breaks. And all of a sudden you'll have all sorts of problems with the system not being accurate and all that sort of stuff. And the fact of Excel, it's not an ERP system. It doesn't talk to all of us areas of the system. So it can actually be a very big issue for a business that runs itself on Excel. So that's the most common thing I have out there. But again, we do also have a lot of old systems or companies that have just grown up with Excel anyway. Going from there, one of the ways we can actually get rid of a lot of the manual keying of data from one system to another is by using EDI. So we have EDI interfaces to lots and lots of different systems out there. All the big customers like Tesco, Aldi, things like that. We also have EDI interfaces to 3PLs, so you can talk to DHL, UPS, all those kind of things. Yeah, EDI, you can also talk to the likes of Kuehne and Nagel and lots of other companies via EDI as well. So that takes away a lot of the duplication you have within organizations where someone's going over to an EDI system or an order system and then taking an order from there and typing into the other system. Again, lots of room for manual error, but also lots of wasted time because, the most expensive part about running your business is people with very expensive things to keep going. So if you can automate it, then that makes a big difference to a company. And the automation can be simply an order comes in from EDI and just sits there waiting for someone to process it, or it could be an order comes in and goes right through to the warehouse to ship it or through to production to make it. And as soon as you've shipped it, it then raises an invoice on the customer, manages a credit note. We'll even take a forecast from the likes of Tesco and stuff, although their forecasts are not the best in the world, but you can do that kind of stuff. So again, what we're doing, we're basically taking all the difficulty away from traditional EDI systems where there's lots and lots of duplication and just automating it into your business. So there you go, that's what we do. So literally to start working with EDI, all you have to do is tell us who you want to work with, tell us your GLN, we do the rest. The first you know about any EDI process in your business is we ask you to test it. So it takes away all the pain and the considerable amount of cost from doing EDI. And again, it's integrated into what I'm going to show you in just a short while. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to flick through to showing you an overview of the product itself. So Business Central, as I was saying, is it will run on pretty much any device these days. So you can run it on your mobile phone. So if you're sitting there on the beach, you can see what's going on inside your business on your phone. You can raise orders. You can do an MRP run. You can pretty much do anything you want on any device these days. So it makes life a lot easier there. It also has a lot of technology built into it. So I'm logged in at the moment as a finance person. So I've got a dashboard available to me. We actually call it a role center in Business Central. So my role as a an accounts person is basically taking a look at sales, purchases, approvals, payments. So my dashboard has all the information I need to do my job on my screen in front of me. So I don't have to go hunting around for information. It's very proactive and it brings information to my desktop. Business Central, being it's the latest flagship product from Microsoft, is just another Office 365 component now. So if you have Office 365 on your machine, you just have another icon on your desktop, which is Business Central. The major advantage to that now is because it's completely integrated into Office. So, for example, now if I am in Outlook and I have an email coming from any of my customers, I can click on the email from my customer. I can say, well, actually, show me a little bit of insight about that customer. So as long as the email is available inside your email address is linked to a customer inside your system, which I hope this one is, Outlook will actually show you information about your client inside of Outlook. So instead of having to open Business Central, you literally can see, so you can see on the right hand side there, I've got the balance for the customer, I've got general information, all sorts of information about that particular customer without having to leave Outlook. And again, you can pin that to the desktop so it's always available and always open. We also have artificial intelligence built into the system now using Cortana, where I can say, show me, or a customer sent in a quote there, quote request. I can say, show me what the customer wants to quote. And the artificial intelligence will run through that system for me. It will actually, I've got a customer not linked correctly there, I've got multiple links there. It will actually examine the email from that customer and say, I think this customer wants some tropical sorbet in this particular instance. Again, if that's what the customer wants, we can click OK, and the system will then go away and create a quote for me, which I can then email directly off to that customer. Again, I can edit it first. I can go into a little bit of more information, put a bit more information into it before I send the quote off. But that's the kind of thing that's coming along now, is artificial intelligence is built into lots of areas of the system just to make our life a little bit easier. Because in the past, what you'd have to do is go into your business system and start typing in what the customer wants. But literally a couple of clicks, I can have all the information available to me there. And it's not just quotes I can do. I can go in there and I can actually create an invoice directly from the system. Or can create an order, as a purchase on that customer. So all the information I need is available inside of Outlook for me, as well as Business Central. So going back to Business Central, hopefully my screen is keeping up with me now. Again, on my dashboard, I can create these different job queues to view different bits of information inside my system. So they're basically just like big piles of paper. So it says here I've got 6 sales quotes on my system. I've got 7 sales invoices. I've got 11 purchase orders. I've got 11 purchase invoices due next week, etc. So the system's basically proactively bringing all the information to me, and I can tailor these quotes to, or these queues on my screen, to be exactly where I wanted to. So I could say sales quotes for Tesco, sales quotes for Aldi, sales quotes for Sainsbury's. So literally tailor them to be exactly what the person's role needs to be looking at. You know, if you segregate your role a little bit more within the business. Again, I'm using a demonstration system at the moment, so everything is available to me. But if I wanted to, I can actually cut this screen down to just, for maybe my warehouse guys, to have 2 buttons on screen, stuff due in today and stuff due out today. And it could be as simple as that. So the guys have got a really concise screen just showing them what they've got to be looking at and concentrating on. But again, like, because I'm doing a demonstration, I need lots of more information available to me. Any of these queues that I click on, I can click on them and it will drill into the data behind there. So you can see now I have a list type view of my, in this case, orders on my screen. And from my orders, it works just like Excel. So I can create freeze panes on my screen to actually stop the data going to the left. So you can see on the left and the right. Hopefully my screen's refreshing quick enough there. I can create freeze panes on my screen. I can do sorts on my screen. I can do drill downs. On the right hand side of my screen, I have lots of what is called fact boxes, which give me additional context sensitive information about that customer. So if I click on Aldi, I'll get a little bit more information about Aldi. Well, there's nothing about Aldi on this particular one. As I go down between all the different customers, we'll get different information. And again, because each of these bits of information is a hyperlink, I can actually click into that information and go and drill it. So in this particular instance, I've just gone to look at what their balance is. I can see they've got lots of invoices outstanding here. And if I wanted to, I can actually go and send them a copy of that invoice directly from the screen. And that's the beauty about an ERP system such as Business Central, that everything is all in one system. So we don't have to go hunting around for information. We don't have to have multiple different disparate systems. You literally stay in the same system, and as long as your security profile is available to you, you can access everything within the system. Different kind of screens we have in the system as well. So if I just do a quick, I'm going to go back one, I'm going to show you maybe items within the system. So items, which is your core bread and butter for a business, we can see here I've got lots of different items. Again, I can filter and view into those items if I wanted to. If I had something interesting on screen, let's go and see if I've got anything interesting here. Let's kind of look at the FIG items. As I go down between the items, you can see different bits of information I'm keeping about them, whether it's a bill of material. In this particular instance, this particular product here, the tropical juice, has a bill of material, and so ingredients in the food industry and production routes. So how do we make this particular item? We can actually have images against the item as well if we wanted to. So if I drill into that particular item now, I can see information about what that item is, what all the different parameters about that item are for whether I order it, whether I manufacture it, etc., etc. So again, the different kind of screen we have here, this is our what we call our edit screen. So what I can do from here is I can edit everything about this information, everything about this item in screen. So the previous screens are list screens for viewing information, and these are edit screens. So instead of our tabs going along the screen like they do in traditional systems, my tabs now go down the screen. And what that basically does is gives us a little bit more space on our screen for being able to view information. And if I want to promote something so I can see it when the tab is closed, I can promote it onto a particular heading of the tab there. Again, it makes it nice and easy for us to view the information in one place. And again, because the Business Central is fully customizable, I can actually go into personalized mode. I can say personalize the screen now. I can actually say, actually, I don't want that field there anymore. I want it to move it to somewhere else. I want to hide that particular field. And what that allows us to do is take off everything on screen that's not relevant for the user who's actually doing the role at that particular time. So you don't scare them with lots of information being available on screen that they just don't need to use. Or maybe what I can do is I can say show when collapsed, or show click show more. And what that means is if I then go on to, if I just click done there, if I click on show more, extra information comes up that I may occasionally need to use, but I don't want to clutter up my screen with it on every day. So only when I click the show more will the extra information be available to me. Okay, so again, it just keeps our clutter off screen a little bit more. As I was talking about earlier, we have the ability within Business Central to integrate into and as one part of Office, but we can also use Word documents for the document outputs. So if you want to do a different invoice layout, you can do it in Word, so make it nice and pretty in Word, and the system will actually use Word layouts. Same for credit notes, any other documentation that comes out of the system, you can use Word for it. What I can also do though, with the newer versions, I can actually say open this in Excel, so I can actually do further reporting in Excel on any bit of data. Normally you do Control E and just chuck it into Excel, do a pivot table. But once you have it in Excel, then you can actually save it to your desktop and then click a refresh button. And instead of having to do that process again, the data will actually just refresh directly from Excel, directly into Business. So it's really great for reporting. So reporting is a good tool. Sorry, Excel is a good reporting tool anyway, and accounts people love it. But it's actually embedded now within Business Central. But also the ability for me to edit this in Excel. So any screen where you have data in a list form like this, typically the screens aren't editable, but what I can do now is I can actually edit it inside Excel. So if I wanted to do a mass change of all these data, maybe items, maybe customers, maybe payment terms or anything like that, in the old days you'd have to go into each screen and do them one by one, but now you can just chuck it into Excel, do a mass change in Excel, and then click publish from Excel back to Business Central. So it makes our life a lot easier inside there. So just see my systems plugins just working. So you see the different here on the right hand side, it loads the data and allows me then to modify or publish that data. Now the great thing is, because it's all linked to Office 365 as Business Central is, any security privileges, I can't even say that, privileges or roles you have within Business Central will actually propagate in through to Excel. So that's a really important thing. So if you don't have access to it in Business Central, you don't have access to it in Excel. So security is actually rolled all the way through. So it is taking a little while to retrieve my data there because it's applying all the security privileges. But literally, I can now go into my system here. I'm going to change onion to be potato. I can't even spell now. Papadon. I mean, this is not something you'd normally do. I'm going to change that one to be onions green. Not even a very good example there. And as soon as I've done that, I can actually click publish there. Okay, I can't do publish. Could not retrieve new data from the workbook. I need to do an update there. It's going to go back in a second. Kind of publish. Normally, in a normal world, when things go a little bit right, you can literally just go on there and click publish, and that will then write that data directly back into Business Central. So again, you wouldn't change the name of items in the system there, but you may change what their units of measure are, maybe, or prices that you got for items en masse and that kind of functionality. So sorry, I'm not sure why that's not working at this particular time. It's normally fine. But that just shows you how tightly integrated it is all into Office 365. Another great feature now is that when you have a system from Microsoft Now Business Central, it's all cloud-based, and what that means basically is you don't ever have to worry about getting a new version of the software again. So the system is automatically updated by Microsoft. There's a major release every 6 months where the system's automatically updated for you without you having to do anything. But you may say, well, what about if I wanted something a little bit more discreet to the way I work? Because no two businesses are exactly the same, and Microsoft haven't made a system that fits 100% to everyone yet. So what that means is basically we can create a additional piece of functionality as an app, and then we can publish that app then within your system, so you can then change a particular way your system works by using an app. So it's just like your iPhone or your Android phone. You download an app to do a particular discrete function, and it plugs in. So what we can do then, we manage it via extensions. So to give you an example how that works, I can go into my extensions within Business Central. And this is a list of all the apps that I've got published within my application at the moment. And just to give you an idea of how apps work, the English or the UK localization, because we do have a localization here, is actually an app as well. So if I wanted a German version, I could download the German version of this and plug it in as an app. And then I'll have a German language and all the different translations and legislative requirements that they have. But you can see here I've got some different things. So I've got my banking integration, I've got my base application, which is Business Central. I've got some clever Dynamics apps, which is from Techman. I've got some other things here, so PayPal integration, QuickBooks payroll imports, Scapta, which is Shopify integration. So you can see lots and lots of different apps that all I have to do is just download them, plug them in, and off I go. And again, if I want to, I can, if I've had enough of that particular app, all I have to do is then click there and uninstall it, and it takes it out of the system. So if you do need a particular discrete bit of functionality, we can do that for you, and then literally you can just add and remove it at will. So it makes life a lot easier with modifications or changing the system now. So we don't have to give you a big bill for updating your system every 3 years because you've had such a modified system. Okay, so going back to an overview of the core functionality now, what I'm going to do now is take you through an overview of how items work within the system. So items are the core area of your system, whether it's a raw material, you're using ingredients in part of your production process, whether it's a bottle, a cap, so any packaging or anything like that, or if it's a finished product that you actually sell from your system. They're all available to you within Business Central. I'm just going to find one here. So I'm going to search. So the great thing about the search box on inside of Business Central, it will actually search against all the products within the system all at the same time. So again, I'm searching for R, so that's any word or any item within the system that's actually got the word R anywhere in there, whether it's in the item, whether it's in the description or any other part of the system there. So you can see here I've got lots and lots of data within my system. I'm trying to find one particular one that I just can't even remember what I called it now. I think I called it tropical. That's it. Tropical. That one. So I'm just going to have a quick look at this one here. I'm going to edit this item. So here's one I prepared earlier, blue peach style. So this, again, it's not applicable to all the people that are on this particular demonstration at the moment, but it gives you an idea of some of the capability within the system. So I've got some tropical juice here. So on the right-hand side, I've just stored an image of there. I can have item attributes. So maybe I can have things like color, fragrance, allergens, particular categories that you want to be able to search by if you have lots and lots of products within your system. Variety, grade of product, alcoholic content. So it's all about filterable attributes that you can use within the system as well. I've got a little bit of information about my inventory. So at the moment I've got 5 on stock, and again, if I click on that, because it's a hyperlink, it drills into the stock. I've got none on purchase order because this is a manufactured item. I've got 13,000 litres of this on production order. Again, I can drill into there to see the production orders there. If I click on show more, I've got some on sales order, I've got some as production jobs, etc. So again, all the information is all available to me within the system. If I go on to costs and postings, this is where you can set up your costing method. So we can have either FIFO, LIFO, average, specific, or standard. Most manufacturers are standard, but you can have FIFO costing or average costing built in if you wanted to. Prices and sales, this is where I set my sales price within the system. If you buy it, it's on the next tab for replenishment for your purchase prices. Again, prices within the system can be pretty sophisticated. So you can have, if you buy one, it's £1.50. If you buy 10, it's £1.25. If you buy 1,000, it's this price. Because we work in the food industry as well, we can manage rebates. So you can have a rebate based upon the total sales in a period, by volume, all those kind of things that a lot of supermarkets like to work with these days, as well as the suppliers. Actually, a lot of suppliers deal with rebates now as well. We've also then got replenishment. So replenishment is all about when I need some more, what do I do? So in this particular instance, when I need some more, the system's automatically going to prompt for a production order in this particular instance. It could be a purchase order. If I buy this raw material in, or if I buy this finished product in and then sell it on again. It could be a transfer. So we have quite a sophisticated warehouse management capability within the system, where you can have multiple warehouses that feed into each other from production facilities and drawdown locations and bulk pick locations, etc. And so the system can suggest transfers from one place to another. Or we can use simple assembly, where you're not worried about some of the detailed production processes there. You just want an overhead for production and a simple bill of material, and that then relates to a slightly cheaper license you can buy from Microsoft. Instead of having the what is called premium license, you can have an essentials license, but you still have a bill of materials with an assembly. It's just called an assembly BOM. You've got lots of parameters on the system here to allow the system to match what to do when replenishment is required. So for example, there you've got a very basic lead time calculation that says maybe you want 2 days buffer whenever you order this particular item. If you're purchasing it, what vendor number, what's the vendor's item number, and what is my purchase unit of measure? And you can have different purchase units of measure to your different sales units of measure. We also do a basic form of catch weight for sales and a basic form of catch weight for purchase. We don't have catch weight for costing built in at the moment. We're still working on that one at the moment. But you can have catch weight for sales and purchase. When it comes to production, the system's saying, how do you make this? Do you make to stock or do you make to order? And then if you do make it, we can have a quick look at our bill of materials, or our ingredients. So if I clicked select from the full list, I can have a quick edit of this one. Again, hopefully my screen is keeping up with me. So to make this tropical juice, I have an item which is navel squeezed early season juice. I have 4.45 litres of that per each of these, or in this is a particular bottle maybe. I have some pear, whatever that is, some banana puree, some passion fruit, some anti-foam stuff, a little bit of lemon juice, and then I have a 350 milliliter bottle, a cap, and a label. Now we can also have, if we wanted to, we can have what is called a production BOM part of it. So this is, again, it depends on how your factory is set up. So you may have some areas of the factory which make what we call intermediaries, maybe a sauce or a drink, and then something else actually takes that intermediary and makes it into a finished product, or maybe another intermediary. And the reason why you break that down if you're doing production is just to make the factory move a bit smoother, and also to take advantage of making maybe by particular batch sizes. Because you can't just make 100,000 litres something at once, because you'll only have like a 6,000 litre vat for making it or something like that. So it's all about breaking the different production orders down into how your factory can cope with those particular items here. You can see on the right hand side we have things like scrap percentages. So at any point in this bill of material, we can say, well, we always lose 1% of scrap, 1% of this juice as part of scrap, because evaporation, maybe if you've got ice, if you're defrosting prawns, if you have alcohol, it's fermenting and falling off, etc. The top of the screen here, you can see a status for the actual bill of materials here, and that links to the NPD process. So you can have we have an NPD process within the system where it allows you to actually develop new products and have different versions of that product. You can have products that are under development, so only the NPD area can actually make them. They can't actually go out to factories. They can't be sold to customers, etc. And the system allows you to also track the version numbers of this particular product as well. So you can have multiple version numbers of the product, and the system, as part of NPD, can track which version you're up to and what the ingredients change from one version to another. Lets you get a nice, tidy view on that. And if I get a chance, I'll try and show the NPD screen in just a short while. Well, that's a very quick overview of the bill of materials. I'm just going to show you the production process as well now, very quickly. So if we go and have a look at my route here, and again, we can, within Business Central, we can cope with both discrete production and process production. So I've set this one here as a process production. So what that means is basically all this is happening at the same time. So when you create a production line, you'll link multiple machines together to maybe take a sauce out of a vat, and then a packing line at the end of it, and maybe a cooker in between it, etc. Again, it depends on how you set this up as to how you do it. But what I've done here, I've got this all running as parallel. So whenever this is executing, all of these are executing at the same time, rather than the discrete method where op 10 works first, then op 20 works, then 30 works, etc. So what I'm doing here is saying, when I'm running this, first I extract it, mix it, cook it, sterilize it, and bottle it. I have a set time for each item, and a set time is per batch. I have a run time, which is per each, or the unit of measure that you're actually making in. We've got things like wait time if you have to cool down or wait for a particular. You've got move time if you have to move from one factory to another. We've got lots of other things here that just allow us to fine tune exactly how this works. So again, fixed scrap quantity there. Maybe you've got a bit of pipe work attached to the machine that you always lose 5 litres of product in, because when you're flushing the lines, you can't get rid of that 5 litres that's in there. Again, scrap factors at individual production area levels, concurrent capacity. So if you've got a packing line, we can do 4 people pack it at the same time. You may say, well, actually that area of the system can have 4 concurrent capacities. Send ahead quantity. So if you do have broken down machines, you can say, when I've got to that point there, send some of them ahead there, so I have a continuous process rather than a separate process. And again, number of operators needed to run this particular process. You can actually load up how many people you need on a particular area system. Like packing, you'd need more people than on actually maybe the cooking area of the system. And again, all that works into the costing. So each one of these particular pieces has 2 discrete requirement, or 2 discrete impacts on the system. One is a costing. So at the work center level or at the machine level, you can actually put in costing information to say, well, actually, while this machine is running, it takes this amount of electricity or this amount of maintenance per year, and you can actually build that into the costing there. And also then the amount of time it consumes upon that, but also on the people, how much time you take of the people and what their cost is as well. So great, again, when you're doing the NPD, because it's linked into the version control in here with the certified under development and the version number. So your NPD process, when you're actually doing multiple different scenarios, you can actually work out what the different costings of making it in different ways are. Now, what we also have is the ability to have alternative routes of manufacture. So again, different production lines in different factories have different variants and different speeds and different scrap capabilities. So when you're making production, you can actually say, if I go down this production line, it uses this route of manufacture. If it goes down this production line, it uses this one that has slightly more scrap. It's a little bit slower, and therefore the cost is a little bit higher. But you may have no choice, because that's the only machine that's available at that particular time. So again, it's all about building up the system to actually manage that for you. So again, this leads then perfectly into MRP. Again, this is the area that scares people the most out of anything. So I'm just going to do here. So planning worksheet. I could give you a quick overview of this planning worksheet. So I click on the planning worksheet here, and the planning worksheet is basically MRP. So we have two versions of MRP within the system. One is production planning, and the other one is materials planning. You can run them both at the same time. So if I do click on the bottom there to say calculate a regenerative plan. So MPS is master production schedule. What should I make and when should I make it? And MRP is what should I buy and when should I buy it? So there's your material requirements there. And MRP will also create sub-assemblies if you need sub-assemblies for a master production schedule above. Lots of parameters again to actually allow us to take a view on what we're looking at. And maybe I just want to look at the next 2 weeks worth of work. Again, you can run this as many times as you want to and as often as you want to. You don't have to wait for people to be at the system when you do it. The great thing about this is here, you can actually run it against a forecast as well, because most companies have to work to a forecast because they don't have enough information from their customers to actually make a quick decision on what's going on, or because your products have got such short shelf life, you can't wait for the customer to make a decision because you're making today for shipping today sometimes. So you have to work to a forecast drumbeat. So the system allows you to create a forecast within there. It uses Excel for some of the extrapolation of those forecasts because you've got 4 algorithms built into Excel for forecasting. It also has artificial intelligence built into the forecasting at the item level at the moment. I still think it's very early days for that. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting there. But again, later and later as the product evolves, more and more artificial intelligence will come into that. So it does use forecasting there inside there. But you can also have multiple forecasts within the system, and you can say, right, I'm going to run this plan now based upon forecast 10% growth for the year. I'm going to run the next one against 20% growth, or the next one against another pandemic coming and we had to shut down production, etc. So it's all about what if scenarios for working out what you need to buy and what you need to make. When you do actually create a production order, or when you run the MRP, it will make suggestions for you. Again, excuse my data, it's quite out of date. My data is at the moment. So the first column here where it says warning shouldn't have anything there at all in reality. So basically, if it does have anything there, it means you've got to work miracles to actually do that. Because, and so if I just quick look at this one here, why is it given that one there? And it basically says you're trying to raise this order in the past, so it needed to be made back in June and you still haven't started it yet, so you got to make miracles. So again, if you're trying to do stuff outside of lead times from either your suppliers, or you're trying to make stuff that's within outside the capacity of your system, the system will do that. And again, that's something I didn't mention just in the machine centers. Part of the setup of your routing as well actually works out your capacity and what you can run through the factory. Again, MRP will then take into account the capacities of your machines for when you're actually doing the scheduling. If you do run the MRP, the system will make suggestions of what you should be doing. Again, the system is suggesting what you should be doing. It's not saying you absolutely have to do this. It's making suggestions. So if you know about information going on within the factory or within your customers or suppliers that will actually negate what the system's suggesting, you can just override it. So I can say that actually I want to purchase 100 litres of that because I know there's another customer who hasn't placed an order on the system yet. So the system doesn't know about it, but I know it's going to do that. So I'm going to order in advance for that particular item. So again, you can do that within the system. Just to make it a little bit more intuitive for you. But when you've got all those there, all you have to do then is you process it and create action messages, which basically says anywhere where I've ticked it to say do it. If it's a production order, create a production order. If it's a purchase order, I can make a purchase order, or I can move it to the requisition worksheet, which I'm not going to cover today. If it's transfer, I'm going to actually transfer it over to there, and you click OK, and the system will do all those actions for you automatically, sending out purchase orders on emails if you've set the system up to do that for you. So that's your planning worksheet. So that's created all your production orders, for instance, for you. What you can do from that then is use the production Gantt to visualize what is going on in your production facility. Again, I've only got a small subset of data here, but I've got multiple cooking lines here, multiple portioning lines, multiple packing lines here, and I've got a visualization of what's going on. Now, normally you'd have multiple production orders all going through here on our visual Gantt, but again, it just gives you a little bit of an idea what's going on. Each product have a different color. As you click on the items, it will actually show you where it's going through the factory, what options. It allows you to drag things around, drag and drop them from one machine to another. You can right click on the item and say, actually use my alternative routing for this one because I can't do it on that one at this particular time. So all sorts of functionality built into the system to allow you to visualize what is going on within the system. You also have things like look ahead window. So look ahead for 2 weeks, make all my allergens in one go rather than swapping from allergen to non-allergen, having to do a real big clean down and then swapping back. So the system can optimize by what we call product family or by a category. So start all my light stuff first, then do my medium color stuff, then do my dark stuff, and then do a big clean down, and then do my light stuff, etc. So again, working in production, you will know exactly what that means to you. So that's the what we call MES. As part of this system, we have traceability built in, as you'd expect. So we actually have to serial level traceability built in, but batch traceability is a standard. So what that means is, I'm just going to try and find item tracing. What this basically does is allows you to track every single batch that's going through your production facility, through your purchasing, what's been shipped to what customers. So batch traceability does have an overhead on the business, because every time, if you want full batch traceability to BRC standards, then you have to tell the system every time you're moving a batch which batch you've moved. So when goods come in, you have to give them a batch. When you're moving them from maybe warehouse to production, you have to tell it which batch you've moved. When you've put production, when you've consumed a batch in production, you have to tell it which batch you've consumed. And then when you've made a batch, you then say, this is my new batch for my finished product. And when you ship it to a customer, you just say which batch has been used. Now, we can optimize that with the warehousing that's built into Business Central and the use of either 2D matrix or code 128 barcodes, which one barcode scan can have the product ID, the expiry date, the batch number, all in one scan. So instead of having to do lots and lots of scans or write down lots of bits of information on your bit of paper for your BRC traceability, it literally will just all be part of the scanning and moving process within there. And that kind of functionality will run on handheld devices. We support Android these days. We do still support the Windows devices, but they're being phased out slowly but surely. Again, that's all part of the system there. But you got full backwards and forward traceability. So if you needed to do a BRC trace, you get 4 hours to do it. You can probably do it in about 15 or 20 seconds using Business Central and the capability within there. Okay, other aspects of the system is we have production. So we have the ability to do MES, manufacturing execution system. So out on the shop floor, we'll have touch screens that allow you to actually visualize what's going on the factory and also to track what actuals are going on there. So when you're doing a planned production run, you know what you think it's going to cost you on the raw materials and the amount of time and labor it goes on there. But as soon as any plan hits the real factory, things can change. So if you use shop floor data capture screens, like I've got on screen here, you can actually capture the real actual values going through there. So what actual raw materials have been used, what batches have been used, what production line's been used, how fast the production line's been working, what outputs come off there, what people have been on the production line, how much time they've consumed, and then you can then actually do your mass balance at the end of it. So we've put this much in, we've got this much out, therefore our yield is this. If you're taking lambs apart or some disassembling creatures, etc. So in this particular instance, I'm going to say I'm going to working on my cooking area. Going to my system a little bit more. Okay, that wasn't supposed. My license expired for MES, so I can't show you that. Last thing you want in the demo is for your license to expire in the demonstration system. So I was going to show you that, but I can't at the moment. But what that would basically do is allow me to log onto a particular production line and start the production line running. And then you can see your production lines running, but the screen goes green. So the supervisor can actually see what's running and what's not running by green screens for go, red screens for not running. You can change those colors if you are colorblind, incidentally. Sorry about that. I thought I'd be able to show that then, but seems to have not worked at the moment. Talking about quality within the system, let me just give you an idea. So built into Business Central as well as one of our extensions to Business Central, we have quality built in. So what that means is basically you can create different quality inspections at different points within production, maybe, or goods in. So when goods arrive, you may do a quality inspection that says, check the van. Is it clean? What's the temperature of the raw material? What's the temperature of the van? Maybe do a microbiological test. So you can do goods in inspections. You can do in-process inspections. You can do every 500 items inspections. You can do one every hour inspection. You can do dispatch inspections. You can also do things like glass inspection. So once a week we do an inspection and make sure all the glass. We can do beginning of production checks to say we do this, and this all at beginning of production. And that basically allows you to have, instead of a separate quality system, it allows you to actually have it all linked into Business Central. So again, it's one system that has every bit of information there, rather than having a separate quality system where you've got to go off and go and find either lots of bits of paper or do some tracking on a different system. It literally links everything all together in one. I think in particular instance, we've got non-conformances. So we've got things like customer non-conformances, internal non-conformances, supplier non-conformances. We have product specifications, although people tend to use external systems for specifications these days because you can get them all from their systems. You have quality control registrations. If I just flick to a tablet view and just find out which is my tablet one, I can actually run my quality inspections on tablet. The great thing about a tablet, if I actually get the right window now, a tablet can actually have a camera at the back of it. So if I do a goods in inspection on a tablet, I can use the cameras for taking photographs of the product as well. So in this particular instance, I've got a tablet view. And again, this is Business Central running a tablet view. And what it does, instead of requiring a mouse, it has the big buttons there for drilling into more information. It uses the burger there for expanding and reducing the lines. In this particular instance, I've got one quality inspection that needs to be done. So I'm going to click on that one there. We can then drill in a little bit more about what that's going to be. So let's show me what I've got to do for that quality inspection. So it's an outbound quality inspection where I'm going to do a general check. I'm going to do a metal detector check, and I'm going to do a temperature check. And these are the target results, the actual results, and the average weight. Again, you can do all sorts of different checks there. And if the system passes the check, it will allow those goods to go out. If it fails, it has to be authorized before it will allow you to be shipped out. Now, we're also just working on a new addition to that, which is non-conformance. So if you do produce a product that's non-conforming, you can get the customer's authority to ship that and link that to the check, the quality check as well. So it's all in one particular place for you. One other thing that's been really popular during lockdown is the integration to e-commerce. So again, not just business to consumer e-commerce, but business to business. So the ability for people to very quickly offer their products and services to the web. So with Business Central, we have integrations to products like Shopify, Sana, Magento. Those are the three most common ones that we have. Sana is tightly integrated into the system. So you can give your customers the ability to place orders, view invoices, download statements, repeat orders. All that kind of functionality allows you to reduce the amount of staff you need on phones to be able to take those kind of orders into the system. Again, if you can't get your customers to afford EDI, again, getting them to have an app on their phone where they can just place the orders is really quite useful as well. And the final bit I'm going to cover, conscious of time now, is a very quick overview of finance. So as you'd expect, we have a full finance system built into Business Central. Again, all the information flows through to the finance system at the end. So you've got your normal chart of accounts, you've got your integration to your bank account. Again, all linked to Excel. So if you do your journals in Excel, you can cut and paste them directly from Excel directly into the system, or you can do the publish from Excel if it works, directly from Excel without having to go into Business Central. We've got a few extensions to enhance this. So we've got Clever Credit for advanced credit management, where you can record who you've chased, what you've chased them for, when they promised to pay, how much they promised to pay. The system reminds you to do that. You can actually put individual orders on hold, all that kind of functionality. You've got cash flow, you've got cash management and cash flow forecasting, payment journals, bank account integration, as I mentioned before. Purchase order processing. You can have contract purchase orders, you can have normal purchase orders. You can have over deliveries, under deliveries. You can also have integration to products like Continue, where you can do OCR voice scanning. So if you get lots and lots of invoices, purchase invoices every month, you can put them all on a scanner, scan them all into the system. The system will read them all and then create a purchase invoice match for each one of them. And if it matches the purchase order that was raised for it, it will automatically go through. If there's any exceptions or variances, you only have to investigate the variances. So it's a great way of actually reducing the labour for purchase invoice matching within the system. So again, if anyone gets time to look on the Microsoft App Store, there are lots and lots of products on the App Store that you can download and plug into Business Central to enhance it further for maybe a particular kind of business that you're in. So again, that is a very quick overview of Business Central and a very quick overview of finance system. So just to finish, I've just got a couple more slides to wrap up, just to tell you who we are as a company. So Technology Management, we've been around for 27 years now. Thousands of customers and users we support, and there's about I think we dropped down to a few with a furlough issue that went on recently. So we're about 125 employees within the company, a turnover about 10 million. But we do specialise in the food and drinks industry, so that's my particular specialisation here. And all sorts of customers in the food and drinks industry, such as ones you can see on screen here. Just to give you a few examples. Thanks again very much for joining me. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Cheers.